Welcome to our video on dynamic imports for component-level dynamic routes using React. In this code walkthrough, we first import React, the core library we need to build our React components. Here we're importing Browser Router, which we alias as router, route, and switch from the React Router DOM package. These components enable us to set up routing in our application. We declare a stateless functional component called noMatch. This component will render a simple 404 not found message when the user navigates to a route that doesn't match any of our defined paths. This is the load component function that takes a component name as an argument. Inside, we use React Lazy for dynamic imports, which allows us to import a component only when it's needed. In this case, we'll be importing components based on a template literal that resolves to components, followed by the past component name. Here we define our app component as a functional component. This component will handle our application routing and dynamic component loading. We wrap our routes with router, provided by React Router, to keep the UI in sync with the URL. React Suspense is used here to wrap our dynamic component loading. It allows us to specify a fallback UI to display while our components are being lazily loaded. Switch is used to render the first route that matches the current location. It's like a JavaScript switch statement, but for routes. In this route, we're using a dynamic path that captures the component name from the URL using route parameters. We then dynamically load the component with that name using our load component function and render it. This route is our catch-all route. If none of the previous routes match, the noMatch component is rendered, displaying the 404 not found message to the user. We close the switch block here. We also close the React Suspense block, which means that any dynamically loaded components will display the fallback UI until they're ready. Finally, we close the router component to complete our routing setup. We close the JSX for our app component with a parenthesis. And the last line of our code, we export the app component as the default export. This makes it available for import in other parts of our application.